DC doesn't just sideline heroes, it leaves some of its most interesting villains behind. One shift in direction, one editorial decision, and dangerous, complex antagonists fade into obscurity. Villains with unique motives, unsettling powers, and real potential reduced to forgotten names, while the same few enemies dominate every storyline. They didn't lose relevance. The spotlight moved on without them. Over time, fans stopped hearing about them altogether. But which villains actually deserve another shot at the spotlight? Here are 10 forgotten DC villains who need to make a comeback. At number 10 is Cornelius Stirk. Cornelius Stirk is one of the most disturbing villains DC has ever printed, making Scarecrow look like a cartoon. Introduced to readers in the pages of Detective Comics issue 592 back in 1988 by Alan Grant and Norm Breyfogle, Stirk is a cannibalistic serial killer with latent telepathy. He casts psychic illusions to appear as someone his victim trusts. Once close, he terrifies them to spike their adrenaline, kills them, and eats their heart to absorb the hormones. During the Nightfall era, he was a massive threat, even teaming with Joker to terrify Gotham while Batman was broken. He is a terrifying blend of Clayface and Scarecrow, grounded in pure slasher horror. Eventually, DC stopped using him because he was deemed too dark for mainstream books, with Professor Pig heavily absorbing his specific niche. With DC Black Label, Stirk is the absolute perfect antagonist for a gritty psychological horror story where Batman truly cannot trust his own two eyes. Instead of headlining Black Label books, he is treated as little more than an Arkham background extra. At number 9 is Angleman. Angelo Ben sounds like a joke, but Angleman has the potential to be one of the most visually spectacular villains in comics. First appearing in Wonder Woman issue 70 in 1954 by Robert Kanigher and Harry G. Peter, he wields an artifact called the Angler, which allows him to alter space, warp gravity, bend dimensions, and teleport. He was a major Silver Age Wonder Woman nemesis, later revamped by Phil Jimenez in the 2000s into a suave, dangerous thief. His powers offer incredible visual madness, as he can literally turn a city block upside down or fold a room in half. Eventually, DC stopped using him because his name sounds goofy, and writers heavily favor mythological gods over science fiction rogues. Imagine a heist villain attacking the Justice League by weaponizing geometry and gravity, folding massive skyscrapers onto each other. The visual storytelling potential is off the charts. Despite a brief recent cameo in the Justice Society comics, he remains vastly underutilized considering his visual potential. At number 8, Zazzala, the Queen Bee. Not to be confused with the human dictator of Bialya, the original Queen Bee, Zazzala was an unsettling extraterrestrial threat. Bursting onto the scene in 1963's Justice League of America, issue 23 by Gardner Fox and Mike Sekowsky, she is the alien dictator of the planet Coral. She commands a devastating hive mind army and uses mind control pollen to completely subvert the free will of entire planets. In her early appearances, she actually defeated the Justice League, paralyzing Earth's greatest heroes and forcing them to do her bidding. She represents an insidious, creeping sci-fi horror, acting as an invasion of the body snatcher-style loss of autonomy rather than just a standard alien invasion. While she made a spectacular return in the late 90s JLA comics, DC eventually sidelined her to avoid confusion with the human Queen Bee. An alien hive mind taking over Earth's populace piece by piece is a classic sci-fi trope that DC currently lacks. Today, she is mostly forgotten, vastly overshadowed by her human namesake. And that's already unsettling. But the next villain doesn't just attack the world, he attacks the mind itself. At number 7 is the Key. The Key is a psychological sci-fi villain who realizes that the most dangerous battlefield isn't the physical world, but the mind. Making his mark in Justice League of America, issue 41 in 1965 by Gardner Fox and Mike Sekowsky, he is a criminal mastermind who used psychochemicals to activate his 10 senses. This grants him vast telepathy, superior intelligence, and bizarre sensory abilities. His absolute peak occurred during Grant Morrison's iconic JLA run, where he trapped the entire Justice League in complex, manufactured dreams to rapidly expand his own psychic power. He is a psychedelic, almost Lovecraftian threat who wants to trap Superman in an endless mental labyrinth. DC likely stopped using him because a purely cerebral, stationary villain requires a brilliant script to feel like a global threat. In an era where audiences love reality-warping thrillers, The key remains the ultimate cerebral mastermind. Sadly, he is currently reduced to minor cameos, occasionally seen in prison cells without agency. At number 6 is Murmur. The Flash's villains are famous for their colorful, honorable code, but Murmur is what happens when a true psychopath enters Central City. First unleashed in the 2001 special The Flash, Iron Heights by Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver, he is a schizophrenic former surgeon who cut out his own tongue and sewed his mouth shut to stop the voices in his head. Immune to diseases, he utilizes custom, horrifying biochemical viruses. He was a major player during the Jeff Johns Flash era, serving as the terrifying catalyst for the Iron Heights prison breakout. He brings a pure survival horror element to the usually bright Flash mythos. DC likely stopped using him because the main rogues are a tight-knit, legacy-driven group, and newer outsiders often get pushed out of the rotation. Flash is too fast for hand-to-hand combat, so forcing him to race against microscopic airborne bioweapons unleashed by a silent madman creates instant high-stakes tension. Currently, he has vanished entirely from the radar. At number 5 is Kanjar Ro. Before Darkseid and the Anti-Monitor, there was Kanjar Ro, the cosmic mastermind who treated the Justice League like pawns. Debuting in Justice League of America issue 3 in 1961 by Gardner Fox and Mike Sekowsky, he is the dictator of the planet Dor. Lacking innate superpowers, he relies on immense intellect, political cunning, and advanced alien tech like the paralyzing Gamma Gong to conquer. In his debut, he enslaved the entire JLA, forcing them to fight his intergalactic wars. Kanjar Ro stands out because he operates as an intergalactic mob boss, winning by outsmarting everyone rather than relying on brute strength. As DC expanded its cosmic lore, heavy hitters like Darkseid, Brainiac, and Mongol took over as premier space threats, leaving Kanjar Ro looking dated. However, DC desperately needs a cosmic mastermind operating in the gray area, a space mobster playing the Green Lanterns and JLA against each other. Instead of ruling galaxies, he is now relegated to the background, sipping drinks in cosmic dive bars. At number 4 is Evil Star. Evil Star represents a cosmic horror tragedy wrapped in a classic Silver Age design. First appearing in Green Lantern issue 37 in 1965 by Gardner Fox and Gil Kane, he was a brilliant scientist who tried to cheat death using a device called the Star Band. This artifact granted him immense cosmic power and immortality, but corrupted his mind, leading him to destroy his own homeworld. He is constantly accompanied by miniature, indestructible starlings that do his bidding. He was a major early Green Lantern foe who required the combined might of the Green Lantern Corps to take down. He is a deeply tragic figure representing the dark side of will and scientific ambition, having destroyed everything he loved just to live forever. DC stopped using him because the Green Lantern mythos became entirely consumed by the emotional spectrum. He deserves a comeback as a menacing cosmic anomaly trying to fix the universe by burning it down. Yet, as of right now, his starband remains dormant. But now we're stepping into the most dangerous territory, where these villains weren't just powerful, they could have reshaped the entire DC universe. At number 3 is Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a villain who uses the comic book medium itself to terrify the reader. Created for Green Arrow issue 12 in 2002 by Kevin Smith and Phil Hester, he is a skilled serial killer targeting non-powered vigilantes. He never speaks. Instead, he only mimics sound effects around him out loud, like saying blam when shooting or drip in the rain. As the apex predator of Smith's Green Arrow and Batman runs, he nearly killed both heroes. He is an eerie, relentless hunter who seeks out DC's greatest martial artists for the thrill of the kill. Creator Kevin Smith noted the gimmick works flawlessly on a page, but is impossible to translate to live action without sounding silly. While he recently made a chilling appearance in the animated Caped Crusader series, his main continuity comic counterpart is heavily ignored. However, in comics, few things are creepier. He is the ultimate slasher villain for a street-level Batman, Nightwing, or Green Arrow story. Today, his massive potential as a street-level comic threat is left entirely on the table. At number 2 is Dr. Double X. Dr. Double X is a brilliant, underrated twist on the Jekyll and Hyde trope mixed with superhero sci-fi. First appearing in Detective Comics issue 261 in 1958 by Dave Wood and Sheldon Moldoff, Dr. Simon X creates a device that manifests his aura into a tangible, luminous energy duplicate. However, the duplicate is pure evil, acts as his dark alter ego, and drains his life force to survive. He was a major Silver Age threat who was so powerful that Batman had to call in Superman to help defeat him. It is a literal battle of the self. The physical dynamic of fighting an indestructible energy being tied to a fragile scientist is fascinating. DC stopped using him because Batman's rogues gallery shifted to gritty realism, and writers chose to focus more on grounded psychological villains like Two-Face instead. He deserves a comeback in a modern Cronenberg-style body horror story where a scientist is torn apart by his repressed rage. He hasn't been a serious threat since the 1970s. At number 1 is Imperiex. Imperiex is the closest thing DC has ever had to Galactus, but arguably much more destructive. First threatening the universe in Superman issue 153 in 2000 by Jeff Loeb and Ian Churchill, he is the literal embodiment of entropy. As a pure cosmic force contained within a colossal suit of armor, he hollows out galaxies to induce a new Big Bang. He reached peak relevance during the 2001 Our Worlds at War event, becoming such a massive threat that Superman, Lex Luthor, and Darkseid had to team up to stop him. He is compelling because he is an unfeeling force of nature, making standard superhero combat completely useless. DC stopped using him because writing constant universe-ending threats without repeating yourself is difficult, usually defaulting to the Anti-Monitor instead. With DC exploring the Omniverse, a modernized Imperiex deserves a comeback as the ultimate cosmic reset button. Sadly, he remains entirely unused and unmentioned since the early 2000s, leaving his massive storytelling potential entirely wasted. These villains still deserve the spotlight. Comment your favorite comeback pick, subscribe now, and stay tuned for more deep dives into DC.